Welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right into it, because right now, De Beers and the entire natural diamond industry are facing a massive, true existential crisis. As new owners prepare to take the helm of this legendary company, well, they definitely aren't popping champagne. Instead, they're waking up to a harsh, synthetic reality. So let's take a look at the new De Beers and the synthetic light at the tunnel.
To really wrap our heads around the stakes of this crisis, the source material uses this absolutely striking metaphor from the philosopher Slavoj Žižek. It goes, "The true courage is to admit that the light at the end of the tunnel is most likely the headlight of another train approaching us from the opposite direction." I mean, wow, right? Genuine courage isn't about blind optimism. It's about looking squarely at a terrifying reality without relying on false hope. And for De Beers, that oncoming train is the booming, relentless market of synthetic diamonds.
That sets the stage perfectly for Section 1, the approaching train. Which brings us right into Section 2, a self-inflicted wound. You know, there's this really stark contrast in how the broader gemstone community handles synthetics compared to the diamond industry. According to the source, veteran manufacturer Avraham Eshed points out that serious gemstone traders strictly, and I mean strictly, reject synthetic stones. They literally lock them out of their offices. But then, back in 2018, De Beers basically left the front door wide open. They introduced their own synthetic line, Lightbox, and fully embraced this friendly, incredibly romanticized term, lab-grown. The source argues that by doing this, the diamond industry essentially invited the fire straight into their own house.
And that inevitably leads us to Section 3, cheapening the diamond.
Just take a look at this advertisement from the Belgian discount retailer Zeeman. It highlights exactly how aggressively synthetics are being repositioned in the market today. We aren't talking about rare, invaluable symbols of eternal commitment anymore. Instead, they are being mass-marketed as cheap, highly accessible fashion jewelry.
And that repositioning leads us directly to a number that's honestly hard to ignore: €29.99 for a synthetic diamond pendant. At this extremely low price point, the perceived value of a diamond just collapses entirely. Plus, the secondhand value of these stones, it becomes virtually non-existent. Think about it. If you're the new management at De Beers trying to sell natural diamonds as a high-end investment, this price point is literally your absolute worst nightmare.
Yet, ironically enough, this threat is constantly legitimized by the industry itself. The source notes that official gemological institutes, like the IGI, are issuing millions of original certificates for these factory-made synthetic diamonds every single month. By taking a cheap, mass-produced product and handing it an official certificate, one that looks remarkably similar to what a rare natural diamond gets, the industry is definitely satisfying millions of customers. But at the exact same time, they are digging a much, much deeper hole for the natural diamond market. Okay, let's pivot a bit and look at the bigger picture. Section 4, the environmental reality check.
When consumers hear the phrase lab-grown, they usually imagine these pristine, sparkling laboratories filled with white-coated scientists gently growing gems. But the source argues the reality is, well, a lot grittier than that. These are actually incredibly energy-intensive, high-temperature industrial factories crystallizing carbon. According to the analysis, branding these factory products with that romanticized lab-grown image amounts to nothing more than corporate greenwashing.
And this actually builds into a super fascinating scientific fact that completely flips the environmental script: mineral carbonation. The source highlights that when fresh kimberlite, which is the rock containing diamonds, gets exposed to the atmosphere during natural diamond mining, it naturally begins to absorb carbon dioxide right out of the air. This isn't just a theory, it's a scientifically documented phenomenon, and it's one that gets entirely overlooked in assessments that just broadly and perhaps unfairly label synthetic diamonds as the greener choice.
But beyond the carbon footprints, the source warns of a massive, looming human toll. If factory-made stones completely replace natural ones, the entire natural diamond value chain risks collapsing right beneath it. We're talking about threatening millions of livelihoods worldwide that depend entirely on natural diamond mining and manufacturing. The analysis strongly calls for a comprehensive assessment of the social and economic devastation that could happen here. It's not just about rocks, it's about real people.
So, is there a way out of this? That brings us to Section 5, the French blueprint. While the US market has largely let this synthetic trend run totally wild, the source points out that France actually successfully regulated this exact issue over 2 decades ago. Back in 2002, the French government passed strict legislation flat out forbidding the use of the friendly marketing term lab-grown. By law, sellers in France have to use the word synthetic. The French legislator actually viewed those alternative terms as commercial manipulation. It really goes to show just how far behind other markets are in regulating this space. And this legislation is a perfect illustration of the strategic survival playbook the source argues De Beers absolutely must adopt. Step 1. They need to invest heavily in consumer protection lobbying in the US and worldwide to demand totally transparent language. Step 2. Aggressively reposition synthetic diamonds back to where they actually belong, as cheap, affordable fashion jewelry, exactly like those European discount ads show us. And Step 3. Launch massive fair trade campaigns that highlight the real, unique environmental advantages of natural diamonds as well as their actual secondhand value.
Which leaves us with one final lingering thought. If the new management at De Beers actually steps up and follows this playbook, will they finally see genuine sunlight breaking through the tunnel? Or actually, is it already way too late? Is that light just the headlights of the synthetic train ready to run the natural diamond industry completely off the tracks? We will undoubtedly be watching this one closely. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.